following is not affiliated with, endorsed by, or sponsored by Wylie High School or the Wylie Independent School District. It is the independent expression of its author. Welcome, everyone, to a special bonus edition of Wylie Football Weekly, the only podcast dedicated to your Wylie Pirates varsity football team. I am your host, the one and only Wylie superfan, Pappy, and as a reminder, Wylie Football Weekly is a proud sponsor of the Wylie Pirate Pace Setters, Pirate Cheer, That Wylie Band, and the varsity football team. Now, I don't usually do bonus episodes during the season, but I think there's so much to talk about the week that we do the season preview episode, and we're intending that to come out for subscribers on August 17th, and everyone else will be made available on August 18th. But I didn't want that episode to be so long. It's gonna already have that entire season preview, which takes some time, but then there's some other things that we got to talk about. Like, I'd like to also talk about the scrimmage. I'm recording this on Saturday, so the scrimmage yesterday against Princeton. I have a couple of thoughts that I want to share. But what I want to open this show with is we have one of the most exciting move-ins. So just be very clear what I'm talking about. When a player, student athlete, moves into the district from another district and is going to play for the team that year, we have one of the most exciting move-ins for Wylie in years. I think this is actually more exciting than the one from 2021 was a quarterback, and we were just excited because it's a quarterback coming from California. But who I'm going to talk about here, this is really exciting, and it's one of these things where the program itself is not talking about it. I understand they don't want to play these things up, and also you don't have news media talking about this yet, if ever. But it's one of these things where I'm doing my research, constantly researching things. And especially after coming off an exciting scrimmage yesterday, I was just randomly researching and I said, whoa, that guy's at Wylie? So let's talk about this. Last year, if you listen to the season preview for the 2025 season, and if you listen to our preview of the Wylie Pirates game at North Garland last year, when we were talking about the North Garland defense, one of the guys that we were talking about, one of the DBs to be concerned about, DeMarcus Mathis Jr. All right. 5'10, 175 pounds. Ended up last year becoming second team all district DB. And the guy has a ton of offers. His FBS offers were Air Force, Wake Forest, Army, Kent State, Tulsa, and Utah State. And then he's got a bunch of other FCS offers. And he's recently committed to Air Force, which, just separately, I think that's really cool because if you go to Air Force, then you're also entering into a military commitment to serve our country afterwards. And obviously you do that voluntarily, and that's very cool. And we've been talking recently about Private Aiden Craig, and he would have loved this guy. So it turns out that DeMarcus Mathis Jr. has moved into Wylie, and he's playing for the Pirates. And I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that we saw him as number 10 in a scrimmage. Last year at North Garland, he was number 9, but we already have a number 9, Archer Leggett. So I think he's 10. And if he is number 10, he played really well for the Pirates. But just at a general level, DeMarcus Mathis Jr., he's really damn good. I mean, just really good. First of all, let's just talk about athletic prowess. He also runs track. At least he ran track at North Garland. 10.6 meters, 21.59, 200 meters. I mean, that's fast. He's got a wingspan of 6'3". I went back and I watched a lot of footage of DeMarcus Mathis Jr. last year at North Garland in his junior year. And it is really amazing what he's able to do. His He's able to play man coverage. He can man cover high end FBS wide receivers. He's great in zone. He can play corner. He can play safety. He does it all. He can do kick returns. He's played wide receiver, but I don't think that he's really too keen on doing that. He's really all about staying on the defensive side of the ball. Special teams. And one of the things I really loved about his game is he doesn't miss tackles. He doesn't miss tackles. He rarely gets blown in coverage, and that's just because he's got that speed, right? You run 100 meters in 10.6 seconds. Even these 4 or 5 star wide receivers can't blow past you. You know me, I love the guys that have a good GPA. He's rocking a 3.34 GPA, right? He's no slouch academically. I love that. And what what really strikes me is, and this is why I wanted to talk about this even before we get to this season preview episode in a few days, is we have potentially one of the best Wiley secondaries in school history, right? Because you've got Jimmy Strickland. Strickland, he's got an FBS offer to Arkansas State. So you got an FBS corner right there. You got Chase Grandy, who we've been talking about for the last 2 years. I think if he didn't get injured in his sophomore year after week two, he'd probably already have FBS offers now, but he's got FCS offers. You get Donnie Skinner, who narrowly lost out on Defensive Newcomer of the Year last year, but as a sophomore, first team all district safety. And frankly, I went back to watch his footage too last year. He's incredible. He's incredible. He's going to have FBS offers after showing what he can do here now in his junior year. And to round it out, you've got this DeMarcus Mathis Jr., legit FBS DB, who's committed to Air Force, right? And had even a big offer like Wake Forest out there. I mean, that tells you that's just amazing. That's amazing. That's your starting secondary, right? I can't imagine who would beat any of those four guys for a starting spot. And I'm pretty sure that we saw DeMarcus Mathis Jr. in the scrimmage. It's not 100% sure because numbers are changing and all that stuff, but like I said, I think I saw him at number 10 and he was balling. He was balling. And the other thing about the secondary is you have an X factor, especially for end of games, because you've got the quarterback, JB Blake, who is a FBS committed defensive back. All right. So last year, we'd already see Blake come in and play DB, late game situations. A lot of people didn't like it, kind of rubbed them the wrong way. Why is our quarterback going out there at the end of the game and playing kind of deep safety? But he's going to play in college at the FBS highest level as a defensive back. So yeah, yeah, it makes a lot of sense that when the game is on the line and you need a final stop in the final minute against an opponent to seal a game, yeah, you're going to throw Blake out there. Frankly, you're going to throw Gordon out there too, which they did that a lot last year in late game situations. So what that tells me is that the secondary is really going to be the strength of this defense. And I am going to have to trust Coach Shields, defensive coordinator, to build around that, right? And if you're wondering, well, okay, well, how do you build a defense around that? The way you build a defense around that is you dare teams to throw, right? You show looks that suggest, okay, we should throw the ball. And what that means is really, and you hear this a lot if you watch plenty of NFL or college, but stacking the box, right? How many defenders are you throwing into the tackle box? before the snap, even if you have defenders fall back into coverage, right? But how many are you showing at the line of scrimmage, right? If you're putting 8 in there, that's 8 or more is considered stacking the box, right? And that's what potentially we might see this season. We might see 8 go in the box and absolutely force other teams to throw the ball, right? And then have them deal with the secondary, right? Because the last thing we want is the secondary to be wasted, right? We don't want teams to run and be successful on the ground and then never throw. Now, case in point, last year we had some criticism towards Wylie for their game against North Garland, and offensively, they ran the ball, barely threw the ball. But now, when you're seeing Demarcus Mathis Jr., who's now a Wylie Pirate, you're like, okay, well, this makes sense. We don't want to throw the ball against him. We only want to throw the ball against him now in practice. We don't want to throw the ball against him in an actual game. So, I think we were a little harsh last year on the coaching staff for being so one-dimensional offensively, right, against North Garland, but it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense because DeMarcus Mathis, at least as far as Wylie is concerned, as far as District 96A is concerned, as far as beating Wylie East is concerned, this is a huge get. This is a huge get. It's not a, oh, this is going to change us to a state championship contender get, right? I mean, that's just not possible, and that was never going to happen. But I never thought this was going to happen. I never thought someone of the caliber of Demarcus Mathis Jr. would end up, you know, living in Wylie ISD and playing for the Pirates. So, welcome Demarcus Mathis Jr. to the Wylie Pirates varsity football program, the team. Only bummer is we're only going to have you for this season, but I think it's going to be a hell of a season with you. And for all of you out there that are wondering, yeah, I mean, I think this has an impact on the season preview, right? This has an impact on the season preview. When you have this, you're going to match Demarcus Mathis Jr. against an opposing team's best wide receiver, right? And he's good enough and he's fast enough that he's going to neutralize that best wide receiver, right? And that's going to leave, a Jimmy Strickland or Chase Grandy, either or both, to neutralize other wide receivers. And then you've got Donnie Skinner flying all over the field. I mean, it's for secondary, it's an embarrassment of riches. And I really think it's going to make up for any potential weaknesses on the D line and linebacking core. As far as the scrimmage last night, I hope most of you came out to watch the Wylie Pirates scrimmage against Princeton. It was a real fun scrimmage. It was actually really fun. A couple of general notes that I want to throw out there. The first is, obviously the opponents can do whatever they want, right? Go ahead. I mean, it's they can call whatever plays they want, but for the first 2 possessions, right, for Princeton, and by possessions, I don't just mean that they just had the ball and they punted away or whatever. If you recall, when you're on offense in the scrimmage, you kind of have the ball for like 3 times, so 3. Either you don't get a first down and then you get another one, right? Or you score a touchdown and get another one, but you have a 3 and then it switches over to the other side. And so we had 2 sets of those 3 where it looks like Princeton didn't have a single rushing carry. They threw the ball all the time, And to the defense's credit, I think they played as well as they could without overcommitting to the pass, which you don't want to do that in a scrimmage because you really want to kind of see how everyone does all over the field. You're not necessarily adjusting your strategy based on what the team is doing because we don't care about score, right? We just care about playing against a live team. But it really did kind of hamstring the team early on in terms of run defense. It just really didn't get to practice run defense against Princeton. So I thought that was really odd from Princeton, and it kind of screwed over Wylie. But you can do whatever you want. But I thought that the first team Wylie secondary did really well, and I believe that in that scrimmage. DeMarcus Mathis was number 10, and he really did ball. For defense, I actually really did like the defensive line. I noticed that they got good penetration against the Princeton offensive line. I thought the linebackers still also played pretty well. I thought finally once there were run plays from Princeton, the run D was spot on, spot on. As far as offense, one of the questions we have going into the season is the center and the right side, and I thought that they looked pretty good. I don't have the names yet. We'll wait for the official roster to come out. A lot of these guys are new to me for the center and the right side on. The first team center definitely snapped the ball well because that's always a concern, and we saw it from Princeton. You saw on Princeton's offense, their center had a real tough time snapping the ball. The Wylie center did not. I noticed that on the first play and several plays, it looked like number 9, Archer Leggett, was lined up at tight end. And I kind of like that. I like it. It's a different look, right? Wylie tends to not use tight ends in a traditional manner. I don't have a problem with that as long as they actually target him in the pass game. You've got to target him. He is a wide receiver by nature. And the thing about lining up someone in a natural tight end position in high school is that they can tend to sneak out into the middle area of the field, and linebackers tend to lose coverage because they kind of ignore them because they throw a block before they run out and run a pass route. So you've got to use him. You've got to not just use him as a blocking tight end, but you've got to use him as a receiving tight end, and he's definitely a good fit for that. One other thing I like is, sometimes we've criticized the coaching staff about the lack of variety in formations, but against Princeton, there was definitely a variety. There was your typical spread with your 4 wide receivers, 5 O line, 1 running back, and 1 quarterback. But then, as we mentioned, there were a lot of times where there were just 2 wide receivers and Archer Leggett at tight end. 1, 2, 3, and then you had the 5 offensive line, and then you had 3 in the backfield. You had quarterback and you had 2 running backs. I thought that was nice. There's a running back, number 24. Don't know who he is yet, his name, but I thought that he played really well as a backup running back to Dalen Gordon. Dalen Gordon, of course, looked great, but he always looks great. I'm curious about this quarterback. Again, we're going off the numbers that were on the yellow jerseys for quarterbacks. There was a number 14. He's a southpaw slinger, but I liked his arm at least. Obviously not going to start, but look good to me. So overall, I thought that the scrimmage went really well, all sides of the ball. I should mention special teams too. I think we don't have punts practiced. I think that's a little unfortunate. I think that teams should be practicing punts in scrimmages. But we did have plenty of extra points to try, and kicking game looks good. So overall, I think the scrimmage went as well as I thought it could. It's hard to imagine how could it have gone better. I mean, it's you can't really answer that. So that's that scrimmage. If you have any feedback, any comments about the Princeton scrimmage, let me know. Let me know what it was like there on the ground. If you have any thoughts, but I'm gonna wrap it up here. Like we said, we're gonna keep this short. This was really to talk about DeMarcus Mathis Jr. and just how excited I am that he is on this Wylie defense for the 2026 season. Huge get. And, you know, it's nice that we have one position on defense that's like, okay, this is on lock. This is on lock. And if teams want to go and test the secondary, go ahead. Go ahead. I mean, I dare you. Test that secondary. These guys are going to bring it. These guys are going to make you look foolish. So, we'll see. Like I said, this is a bonus episode, so look for the season preview in a few days. What we'll do on that episode is we will go ahead and give you a very brief preview of the final scrimmage, which is Thursday, August 20th at McKinney Boyd. So we'll give you a little preview on that. And then we will run through our season preview, and that'll be the episode. All right. So once again, this is Wylie Football Weekly, the only podcast dedicated to your Wylie Pirates varsity football team. I am your host, the one and only Wylie superfan Pappy, saying, "AHMO, baby, AHMO."